Welcome to Manufacturing Talks with Jim Vinosky. Industry has a million cool stories, and Jim talks to the movers and shakers who are making them happen. Let's dive in.
Welcome to our inaugural episode of Manufacturing Talks. I'm Jim Vinosky, your host, and got a great show today. I am joined by Titan Gilroy, CEO of Titans of CNC of Flower Mound, Texas. He's a global manufacturing leader and a founder of the Titans of CNC Academy. Welcome, Titan.
Oh, Jim, thank you for having me on your show. It's definitely an honor.
It's an honor for us too. So, like I said, inaugural episode, and my whole point here is to share the really cool stories of manufacturing with the world. And when I got thinking about all the folks I've talked to in my Forbes work and in my manufacturing background, wondering, who best embodies the manufacturing world, your name was the first one that popped to mind.
Thank you. I mean, I don't know what to say. That's an honor.
Well, and we're going to touch on why that is. And so, you've got your own shop down there in Texas doing CNC machining. And I guess, the first thing for me is, I guess there's even people in manufacturing watching who really aren't that familiar with CNC machining. So can you go over that for us really quick?
Yeah, so CNC machining is just that. CNC is computer numerical control. It's where you take computers, put it onto mills and lathes, machines that cut metal and components. And that's it. I mean, technology has gone through the roof now. We use CAD to design, we use CAM to program the machines, and then when engineers basically design these crazy parts, we're able to just go put them into our CAM system, run the tools on them, and duplicate that process in the machine, creating components that go, your cell phones, your cars, your airplanes, all of it. So.
Right. And, that's what's so cool about it to me is you're taking legacy machining, and it's the same processes that we've done for 100 plus years, but you're tying it to these computer systems of doing computer-aided design, computer-aided manufacturing, all through programming and kind of the modern touch that's going to draw in the youth into that world, right?
Absolutely. I mean, we say when you're cutting metal, you say making chips, because you start with something whole and then you're leaving the scraps on the ground. And what we like to say is pounding it on the back wall. That means like the cutter goes so fast it just sprays those chips on the back wall, and it's just like a machine gun, like, and it's incredibly exciting. But at the end of the day, there's something there, and that is your ability to compete. If you're running slow, your part to complete your part is going to take a long time. If you're running fast and efficient and safe, then you're going to be running, your time that it takes to make the part is going to be reduced, and that allows you to compete in a global industry. So we're having fun with it. We're getting kids excited about the trade. We're getting machinists excited about the trade, but we're also showing machine shop owners how to compete in a global market, and showing them that you can actually do it right here in your own country, wherever that is, your own country, and have crazy success.
Yeah, and it's a great point, that whole efficiency piece of getting more and more out in a quicker time. And that's another beauty of CNC, right? Is you're doing multiple operations on a single machine and kind of compressing that timeline.
Absolutely. So it's not only the speed and the tools and all that, it's the complexity of the machine. Instead of just running the top of a part and going around, now the machine it's flipping down on a 5-axis, 9-axis, and you're able to do all the different sides all at the same time and take out a part complete. So
yeah, and those parts, like you said, I mean, they're high tech. They're going onto rockets and aerospace applications. So you're doing some really cool stuff.
Everything. So, I like to say, from the bottom of the ocean to Mars and everything in between.
Nice, perfect. Yeah. So what brought you to CNC machining? How'd you get into that?
It's a huge story.
But that's what we're here for.
At the base of it, I grew up with a hard life. My mom took me to Hawaii to basically escape an abusive husband. We ended up homeless on the beach. My mom used to work construction, clean houses, and just work to just get a roof over our head. And that's where I come from. I come from being like the only white kid in the neighborhood, just getting beaten and beaten and beaten. And it's, I had no idea. We had no money. I had no future. But one day I'd get a boxing contract that would send me to the mainland. And sooner or later, I'd walk into a CNC machine shop and never knew what machining was, never knew what industry was, had no opportunity at college or anything. But when I walked into a machine shop, I fell in love and something in my head clicked. And instantly I started to rise, and it changed my entire life. Today, I got a beautiful family. I got 5 kids, got a beautiful shop. We're doing amazing things in the industry. And it's because of this industry, it gave me a purpose in life. And so now I just want to share with everybody,
Well, and that's one of the inspiring things for me. I think I came across your story originally on LinkedIn, and you were one of my first articles for Forbes going on 3 years ago now. And I know in your background, you served time, and you've kind of turned that around for yourself. But the other thing that's really inspiring to me is it's not just your life now. You're impacting the lives of others. So talk a little bit about, you got into it yourself, you established your own shop. Now you've got the Titans of CNC Academy. Talk a little bit about that, if you would.
Yeah, the academy is really like a miracle in my life because, I started machining and I was just like, wait, I can actually have an amazing life because I got into industry. And I started just putting all the time into it, coming in early, leaving late, reading books, doing everything. And I rose quickly, and I secured a great life and a great career. One day, well, I'm jumping because we created a TV show and all that, those things and stuff. But one day, the state of California asked me to basically come in and help them in the prison system. And as you alluded to, one day I threw a punch and I got 16 years in prison when I was 22 years old. And I thought my whole entire life was over. But, I went through the system, it's probably the best thing that happened to me. And I ended up getting out, and that's when I went into the machining field and stuff. But when the state of California came and talked to me, they wanted me to go into San Quentin prison where there was already an obsolete machine shop. And I walked in, and I literally walked into my destiny because all of a sudden there was all these men there, and they were exactly where I used to be. And yet I'm at where they need to be.
Right.
And it's all, faith is a huge part of my life. And at that time, the purpose just happened and the boldness, and I was able to just speak right into these guys' lives and tell them, like, you need to walk away from that path. You need to cut that chain, and you guys are getting out. So let's actually give you a career that can change your life and support your family. And if you do what I tell you to do and you actually follow and you commit, like, this will be a life-changing journey for you. And I spent 2 years in San Quentin prison with these guys. And at that time, I looked at curriculum and I realized nobody had ever, the greatest country in the world, nobody had ever developed a curriculum that everybody could just use. Each school, each company has to figure it out on their own, and based on the money and the mind and who they are, it dictates how elevated that program is and stuff. And I just have never seen anything that was top notch and stuff. So I ended up just developing my own for that school, thinking, hey, this is gonna be a template to show everyone, since it was on our TV show. And at the end of that process, teaching all those men how to machine, and it's still going. One day I woke up and I was like, hey, let's actually take this, put it online for free, and actually just inspire the whole world that anybody that wants to get into manufacturing, they can get into it, and we're going to teach them legit education. And boom, now we have 100, instead of just the inmates in San Quentin, which is amazing, but we have 120 current students on our free academy. 120,000 current students.
120,000. It's amazing. So obviously, getting that curriculum together, you had a lot of help, right? You reached out to the people who make CNC machines and all that. You got support for that. And that you mentioned your TV show kind of all tied together, right? So you were able to get the word out there, create this curriculum, and get it in front of people. To me, I've talked quite a bit, just more broadly in manufacturing, that we really need to take the bull by the horns for creating our own future workforce. So, I mean, isn't this just a golden opportunity, what you've laid out here, for other people to follow, regardless of what they're doing in manufacturing?
I mean, it's so multifaceted, if I could, I'd love to touch on the TV show. The TV show
absolutely.
was Titan American built. And it was a show that I created because I had gone through, I had been the fastest growing manufacturing company in Northern California. I went from 0 to 55 employees within 3 years. Went from, borrowing $5 to put gas in my car to making $1 million a month, and then the economy collapsed. And no matter how good I was, no matter all these people that I was having fun out competing, some of that boxing competition coming in, like I was just a different beast in the industry and stuff. And I was having fun out competing these guys. But when 08 and 09 happened, and I watched everybody closing their doors, and I lost my house, and I lost my cars, and all of that, all of a sudden I realized, man, I'm having fun competing, but there's a bigger story here, and that is that nobody speaks to. It's all intellectual property. All these shops, they don't speak, they don't learn from each other. Nobody values manufacturing. And I really came back to it. I just was you know what? I'm a shy person, but I'm good in my element. Let's create a show. Let's pull back the curtains and show manufacturing. But through that process, I would go to all these massive billion-dollar companies, and I realized none of them were good. And I don't say that in a disrespectful way, but I say it you can have a huge company that's selling all these products, but it comes down to a base of manufacturing where they're manufacturing the product. And as I would go and I would dissect and learn their processes, I realized everything was so obsolete because they were on to solving new problems, and they just had never gotten their manufacturing, their CNC machining up to a high level. And I was like, man, training is a problem. And I keep going to all the colleges, and they're just doing a few holes and stuff. And that was really where I was like, hey, when the whole thing with San Quentin happened, I was right for it because I was like, training is the problem. And I'm like, okay, I'll go in here, I'll teach inmates that don't even know what the internet is. They've never been on a computer before. I'll teach them how to do something in weeks that it takes schools to do years in. And that was the whole process with that. So I've had a lot of help. Right now, I got great industry partners. But at the beginning, nobody had ever done it before. People didn't understand it. It took a long time to get people on board. And they had to figure out also how, just how the whole thing works, right? You got to solve people's problems and stuff. So today, it's a different world. And I went off on a tangent, but I just felt it's important that people understand the evolution of this. So after the show, I put it online. I was offered a 4th season on my TV show. I turned it down and decided, you know what? I'm going to go into the social media and the academy and do all this because I can actually interact and mentor people all over the world. And I was just having fun with it. And it was my purpose in life,
Right. No, I'm glad you went that direction because it really does touch on some important things. You've got a really great example out there about what can be, right? But you're right. There's hard work up front where you're really going to have to buckle down and do things on your own for yourself and have that vision long-term of where you want to go. To me, it's just critical that all manufacturers start realizing that if you're not creating that for your own business, you're already falling behind.
Yeah.
You talk about that competition, that's a piece of it.
Yeah, and there's some misconceptions, there's people don't understand the industry, People think, a lot of people look at these big CNC machines, $500,000 machines that are the ones behind me. And they think that, I'm going to go invest. I'm going to put these machines on the floor and it's run by computers. So that's enough. But it's simply not the truth because a person's mind has to program that machine. And there's hundreds and hundreds of thousands of different tools, millions. And based on what they can comprehend, based on what they ran before, you know, they're going to come to the table and they're going to create a program for a part. And that whoever the head programmer is for a company, they're going to basically dictate the pace of the entire company. Whether they're successful or not, they're going to dictate the pace. And a lot of people, they just don't understand that not all programmers, not all machine shops are created equal. They think like, oh, just because I know G code or because I know machines, it's enough, but it's not. So what we've done is basically separate ourselves from, I don't want to say establishment, but kind of, you know, when it comes to the way the industry sees things, we've separated ourselves, been bold, and we're showing parts and education and things that people have never seen before. Mm-hmm. And people are always like, hey, you need to do it like this. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do it like this because this is how I do it for the big rocket companies. This is how I do it for all of the medical companies. And this is why I get the work, because I can outbid and outcompete. And so let's teach real manufacturing. So we're kind of like that voice in the wilderness, just saying like, hey, you need to do it differently, you know? And then schools and companies and people, they see the difference. Like, oh, these guys are making a pocket with a couple of holes. These guys are making crazy complex geometry and they're teaching it for free, you know? Right. When you said the importance of our platform, the importance of our platform is that the education is on such a high level. It is the fastest, easiest way to learn CNC. It's the most elite. And now people talk about the skills gap. The skills gap is a problem, right? Because people aren't young people are not aware of industry and opportunity because it's not sexy. There's no drama. There's nothing that drives it to the media. So people work at Home Depot, McDonald's, and, you know, different places, and they don't understand that they could actually make 3 times, 4 times as much in industry. They just don't even understand the opportunity. You know what I mean? So what we've done is we've created curriculum, and then we're like, hey, all these machine shops, all you guys are struggling to find workers, but we're making it so you guys can literally go through drive-through and grab people from McDonald's, which happens, and bring them in, and then use our curriculum and these education machines and create your own school to train your own employees in your own shop and bring incredible value and opportunity to these people that would have never had it, like myself. Like, I had no education or future. So we're giving them, and we're giving it for free. And then we're saying, hey, anybody in the world, your niece, nephew, your husband, wife, grandfather, anybody can actually go onto our academy and learn CAD, CAM, and CNC for free. We're partnering with the biggest companies. You can download software that costs $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 for $160, like Mastercam. You can get it for $160 now. And we're making it accessible and easy and exciting. And sorry, I get excited.
No, and that's fantastic. You know, you've touched on several things there I want to dig into, but number one is you mentioned the skills gap, and I remember from our conversation for the Forbes article, what you said is the skills gap doesn't exist, right? We have talented
training
youth.
Gap.
Yeah, it's about the training. Another piece that you got me thinking of while you were talking, though, that we don't talk near enough about is we're trying to send every kid to college, right? And there's nothing wrong with college, but they're going in getting these degrees that aren't getting them into exciting careers, and they're coming out $100,000, $200,000 in debt. So think about what you offer with free education, no debt, and a high-paying job, assuming you stick with it and learn everything.
Yeah, you know, I think there's people just need to. You got to look at everything a little bit differently. You know, like, I mean, I'm in Texas and I love Texas, and I think 98% of the kids at the schools over here, like where I'm at in the greater Dallas area, they all go to college, and that's a great thing. I love great families, dedicated families. They work from when they're young to go to college. But just because you're not here, you might be in a different place and have no money before, or whatever, just not have an opportunity to go to college, or you just don't want to. It's not for you. Doesn't mean
Right.
that you're destined for less than, you know.
Right.
A lot of times you see people who don't have money, and you see these kids and they're building their own toys. I grew up in Hawaii, you know, again with nothing, but I was building tree houses. I was building skimboards and my own skateboards and my skateboard ramps, and I was building. You know what I mean? So I always had the mind that to create something better than the other kids in the neighborhood and stuff. So when I walked into manufacturing and I was an artist, it just clicked, right? So there's so much opportunity for people that would never have opportunity in manufacturing.
Yeah.
And when I was talking about the skills gap doesn't exist, training, but it's an awareness gap. Like we need to, if we were able to bring awareness to everyone and say, look, talk to all your family members, there is an amazing industry. There's companies that are hiring just from if you complete the free academy that we have, they will hire you into these billion-dollar crazy companies and stuff, and then give them that training. I mean, you change the whole gamut of all of it. But right now, since nobody talks about it, parents don't want their kids to get into manufacturing because they think it's an old dirty trade. They just don't see the truth. And one of the problems is that the SpaceX's, the Blue Origins, the Aerojets of the world, the Boeing, they're making rockets, but they close their doors because of intellectual property, and they don't show our people how to actually do it. And therefore, you know, parents think, oh, it's just this crazy college degree that you have to have, and it's just simply not true. You know?
Yeah, that's a great point. You know, my very first Forbes article was about the bourbon industry, and it was specifically about how open that industry is. I was in the industry and I waltzed into the biggest distilleries in Kentucky, people knowing I'm a competitor, and they'd show me everything. And it's always puzzled me. I mean, I came up through food processing and, you know, making food products and doing the same thing, like you say, closing the doors, like we've got these big secrets. And yeah, we had some secrets, but we're hurting ourselves because we're being so secretive and so guarded of things that really aren't secrets at all. We're depriving people of understanding what we do.
Exactly. And in the human mind, the brain, the way that, you know, we rise is from knowledge. Knowledge is power, right? So, you know, a lot of things that we even show on the you know, we show our secrets on camera, on YouTube, on Facebook and everything. But a lot of people, like, they've been in the industry for long enough. They just have to see the fixturing technique or even see the tool, and they just didn't understand that it existed. And that one little speck just opens a whole world for them competing and taking their company to a higher level and stuff. We just need to see it. We need to know that it's there, and then our mind can start turning, and we can, you know, bring it into our own lives and change it, you know?
Yeah, well, and you touched on another important piece I wanted to hit again, and that's the whole competitive aspect and doing things differently, being bold enough to kind of break the mold. But that ties into that as well, doesn't it? Like, if we're all closed and we're all doing our own thing and never looking up, you're just going to keep making the same mistakes over and over, in addition to, you know, doing the successful things you do. Whereas when you're out there showing, hey, I'm going to try this crazy cut that no one in his right mind is going to do, and then you do it, like, well, I guess we were wrong, right? So being open helps that competitive aspect as well.
Yeah, and you know, we're in a place where everybody wants to complain about manufacturing, but when somebody steps up to help manufacturing, everybody's job is to take that person down. You know what I mean? Or if you make an impossible cut, you have just this whole thing to like complain about, but that wouldn't work in the real world and stuff. And a lot of times, like I say, you know, I say I got the toughest skin in the, you know, thickest skin in the business because I've been through all that. Now, if people say that, they get attacked by other people and stuff, but that's getting off on something else. But why is it, if we love manufacturing, that we should like lift up people who are fighting for manufacturing and join and lock arms and truly, you know, it takes a village to change and do the things that we're doing and stuff. A lot of times I say I'm almost like the Matrix, like, you know, Neo or something, because it's like, I'm just trying to like, or Morpheus, because I'm trying to free your mind. You're running at 100, we say inches per minute. You're running at 100 inches per minute, and you think that's fast because you used to run at 20, 30, 40, 50, and you jumped over the year. Well, I'm going to show you 1,600 inches a minute. And you can be like, well, you know, you can't do this because of everything that you thought. But I showed you 1,600 inches a minute, and we say MRR, metal removal rate, and I showed you what the metal removal rate, and I showed you consistency and cut. So no matter how much you want to talk about it, it's reality. But what happens is from 100 to 1,600, people are like, you know what? They venture out and they go 200 and 300. And guess what? 300 is 3 times what they were roughing, and that takes their price, the amount of money to produce the part down, and allows them to compete and make money. So those simple little truths, those simple little fundamentals, those little nuggets right there, they're gold, because that's what manufacturers need and stuff. So today, you know, when I first stepped on the scene, people were just like, "Wow," because they'd never seen it. But today, I every airport I go to dinner at night, and I have shop owners come up and shake my hand and tell me that they were laying people off. They're buying machines now, and they're doing it because of the things they learned from our processes, our platforms and different things. Even if it's on YouTube and whatever, it's like they can turn it on, they can see something that changes things, and I'm extremely proud.
No, you should be. It's very cool stuff. You know, it's funny when you were talking about people kind of poo-pooing that would never work in the real world. My very first introduction to CNC was when I was in college, and that was a long, long time ago.
Yeah.
And as part of one of my classes, I went to a trade show where they had all kinds of different machining, and there was a CNC machine set up running, and we were just, you know, captivated by it. Mechanical engineer by degree, so you can imagine how I was geeking out on that. They actually gave us a part they made to carry back. I took it back to school, went to one of my professors and told him what we'd learned and showed him the part. And he said that very thing. He said, "Yeah, well, that's soft metal. That's never going to work in a real machining environment."
Yeah.
I think it was wrong.
But why? You know what I mean? And it's just the limitations. Again, you look at who's creating education. It's the limitations on our minds based on what we can comprehend because of what we've experienced. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of people in education, I always say, teachers are heroes. They're heroes. But at the same time, the schools and like they're not getting enough support to truly understand what industry is about. You know, they're so busy with their kids and stuff, and there's no money to actually go out and actually get superior machines or that wisdom that comes from being on the cutting edge right now. So that's what we're trying to do, is just constantly teach it, constantly show it. You know, we have a robot right off camera. I have a whole Fanuc robot cell that we actually were running on our Boombastic show. And we were like, you know, as I was talking live on camera, it's just making parts and parts and parts. But the whole concept was like, hey, let's actually show you how to actually do this. Because you know what? We used to put parts in, you know, China and stuff because they were working for $2 an hour or whatever. But you know what? Everything's automated over there now. So if everything's automated, why can't we just bring that work back and actually do it here? And again, I'm not dogging China. China is serious about manufacturing.
That's right. That's right.
I'm just saying that we need to open our eyes and start bringing opportunities here. And then all of a sudden you have robot programmers and technicians and people that create these cells making really good money for their families right here and stuff. But, you know, it's just opening your mind to what's possible.
And you touched on something I know is absolutely a value for both of us, and that is American manufacturing. And it's interesting, you just laid it out, how, China got into it by doing manual and cheap and you know, doing things that we felt we were beyond, but now they're leapfrogging ahead. And so to your point, all this technology, it's vital. You know, we talk so much about bringing manufacturing back to America, and absolutely, man, sign me up. But we're not going to do it by doing things the way we did in 1950, right? And we're not going to do it. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was going to say
exactly.
Yeah.
You're not going to do it by putting down anybody who tries to step out and actually excel at this industry or do different things, and just get into that whole grind of just downplaying things and talking bad about people and stuff. You want to be negative. I mean, this whole industry is going to stay where it's at. We need to be positive. We need to be proactive. We need to teach our kids that, you know what, you guys, and give them inspiration that you guys are going to be way better than us because you grew up on computers and cell phones and you understand technology. You automatically think about 12 things at once because that's the way your nature is, because of how you were brought up. And some people might look at it as a negative, but it is a positive because you're going to bring in automation, you're going to bring in high level machining, and you're going to save like our country, because without manufacturing, only part of the country does good, right? And there's a whole sector of people. I look at Chicago, I look at Baltimore, I look at a lot of these places that these are easy problems. People are killing themselves on the streets. Why are they killing themselves on the streets? Because you had an amazing city where manufacturing moved out. There's a void. There, all of a sudden, there became like, homelessness and just lack of money and stuff. And then drugs came in and gangs came in and different things. But you know what? You start bringing opportunity at scale to those cities, and you start bringing the right training and the right, manufacturing. All of a sudden, like we designed a school for Chicago where thousands of people would be trained and stuff. Chicago's trying to lure people in to manufacture in the city, but there's no workforce, right? There's schools, but they're doing like 30, 50 people. It's just not enough. So we're like, hey, you can actually do this at scale. And guess what? Apple phone made in Chicago, saving lives. That's marketing genius. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
But people, they just don't see it. You know what I mean? And it's like manufacturing can save all of these cities. It can do all this stuff, but we need to change our way of thinking, as we've been talking about. And we need to understand, let's go big. Let's go make it happen.
Yeah. So that kind of leads me to another question I had for you. Now you're sitting there right in front of your brand new shop there in Texas, and you talked about loving Texas. Well, you came very recently from California, right? You established your shop out there. You mentioned that earlier. What prompted that move?
Well, a couple of years ago, I had to make a decision, because everything we did, even funding our show, a lot of it was done from my own bank account and from making parts for the private sector, right? And then this academy took off. And guess what? I love this, but my passion was really like, nobody's ever done this before, but how can we fund it? You know what I mean? How can we fund it? I want to do it at scale and do it big and stuff. And so I spent literally 2 years like helping my customers take back the work, even giving them my fixtures, my programs, all of these different things and stuff. And so it came a time where, one day I literally woke up. I told you faith is a huge part of my life. And I just felt like the Lord told me Texas. I never thought of it before. It was May 12th, a year ago. Never thought of it before. And then I just knew we were going to go to Texas. And even as I started thinking, I'm like, you know what? I used to every Friday be scrambling to get parts out the door. Today, I don't actually work with anybody in California, but I'm paying the highest taxes in the entire country. Like, why am I here? So Texas is pro manufacturing, Texas is pro jobs, pro country, pro all that. And it just made it just, everything made sense. And literally within a couple of weeks, I put everything into motion. And now my employees that were making good money and living in apartments, they purchased houses over here in Texas. We purchased a house, we just changed, we upgraded our entire life. And I love Texas. I love everything about it.
Yep. Awesome.
I can go on and on, but
that's all right.
I got a golf course right there.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. It was
I don't golf, but
hey, it's there for your employees, right?
That's it.
It was so cool just watching the videos and like you talked about, it's a year to turn that around. So it's all been through all this craziness, seeing this just absolute joy and passion you had in pulling up stakes over there and shipping all your machines across the country and getting the building built. It was very cool watching that.
Yeah, and what's cool is you'll see very soon. Probably, I'm not sure when this is coming out, but you'll see I'm expanding to the whole building.
Oh,
So
nice.
I got a lot of additional things happening and stuff. But you know, COVID was a serious thing for a lot of people, for the world, right?
Absolutely.
For us, you know, we did what we had to do, and California made us, you know, made all our employees stay home, and literally it was me and my son, you know, like coming in trying to just save our company, you know, just keep everything running and stuff.
Yeah.
But what happened for us too was that all of a sudden our partners and different people, the industry started realizing when everybody's locked down, Titans of CNC, they're putting our product in front of the world every day, all day long. So the whole thing, people started seeing it different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So moving to Texas was just, you know, it was everything I said, but also understanding that, you know what, nobody's ever done what we're doing right now, and we have an opportunity. And even though I failed, you know, because of the housing market and everything in 08, 09 and lost all that, I'm going to risk it all again, and I'm going to go even bigger, because you know what? The payoff is not about me. It's about the industry and doing something amazing for the industry and stuff. So I'm like, that competitiveness, I'm doing that with my move also. Like, I'm just risking everything, but I'm having fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what it's all about. You know, I swear I jotted down a bunch of questions here, so I would have prompts as we talked, and you've anticipated every single one of them, and you just alluded to the next, which is what's next. You said you got building space you're going to expand into. Any secrets you can share there?
Yeah. So one secret is everybody's seen us take half of this building. So we actually have, so this is the first time I'm telling anybody on your show, we're taking the entire building. So we believe that manufacturing is the foundation of our country, is what built us. When you look at the history books and you look at everything, we've just outbuilt, you know, outthought, you know, other countries and stuff. And it's what made America a superpower and stuff. And for us to be, you know, heading up education and being leaders in that field, I believe that we need to be well-rounded and encapsulate all of it, you know? So right now we do CNC machining, we do grinding, we do automation and robots and all of that stuff, design and all of it. But we're kind of going heavy into additive. So we have some amazing additive partners. So over the next couple of months, you're going to see some amazing technology coming in, you know, everything from plastic to, you know, stellite to, you know, different stainlesses to Inconels and titaniums. Like, we're going to show the highest level of additive, bringing in EDM, you know, wire EDM, sinker EDM, where you actually, with electricity, you actually cut material just super precise. People don't know, when you go into metal 3D printing, the best way to get those parts off of a build plate is EDM and stuff. So it just really makes sense. And then we're gonna bring in bigger machines. So we're just doing all of it, you know.
You're getting like Texas big.
That's it. If we're gonna
awesome.
go to Texas, we might as well go big, right?
So, you know, I've covered 3D printing very extensively. Actually, I have an article coming out today about 3D printing in semiconductors. And so really looking forward to watching your progress on that front. Is there anything we haven't touched on that's important that the viewers of Manufacturing Talks ought to know?
No, I don't think, you know, I think it's a longer conversation, and maybe we'll continue down the road, you know?
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
I just want everybody to understand that, you know, there is an academy. It's Titans of CNC Academy. You can just go to titansofcnc.com, and anyone can actually go on there, and they can actually go to the resources page, read the instructions, and they can just start with the building blocks. You know, download software for almost free, you know, compared to how much it costs, and actually learn this trade. And even if you're in sales, learn about manufacturing. Learn about how to make things, just so your mind will expand. You know, when you take something from nothing and you build something, it's part of life. You know, being a programmer and a CNC machinist and running complex parts, it helps me. Like, it was my foundation for running my business. You know, I got you know, all these different holes and complex, you know, geometries and stuff. And some people see it as Swiss cheese, and yet I'm able to just dissect it and kind of work the problem. It's the same thing. I got customers and employees and machines and all these different things. My life, you just dissect it, you prioritize it, and you just work that, you know, and stuff. So I just think manufacturing is incredibly important, and anybody can learn it right now for free. And if you're a machinist, if you're a shop owner, why let the young guys, why let the other people learn the highest technology? We make it easy for everyone. So it's right there. And aerospace is, we're going to Mars.
It's crazy. Yeah, going to Mars. We're getting supersonics back. Did you see that news?
Absolutely.
It's fantastic.
And then, and I mean, people, when you look at supersonic and you look at all that, I mean, this Starship that Elon just blasted off and landed and everything, that we're talking hypersonic, right? So like this thing goes up and actually can go over to China and drop people in an hour that takes like a day right now. So the whole world is changing. But you know what? That rocket does not fly. It doesn't even exist without manufacturing.
That's right.
We need, it's being built right here in Texas, which is beautiful. An honor for Texas. But at the end of the day, hey, we need machinists and people to actually make all those components to build the future. And that's what we're doing. And thank you for giving us the platform to speak about it.
Absolutely. Yeah. You know, you touched on a thing that to me has always been the fundamental about my love for manufacturing, and that is you're making stuff. You know, you're not putting paper out. You're not just creating files on a computer. You are seeing stuff go out the door that's making people's lives better, and that's what you're all about as well. What better lesson is there? You know, you put your kids when they're young out, and they actually make lemonade, and they get $1 for it. Yeah, they made something, and they trade $1 for it. And as they grow up, you know, so many of these kids, I mean, I think it's important as parents, like throughout life, we just understand the value of creating something that's worth something and trading it. And it can only help us in the future, you know? Yeah. And I will back you up, because when you told me about Titan of CNC for our article, I went out myself and downloaded things. It's exactly as you said. So any doubters out there, Titan's telling the truth. It's there nearly for free. Go after it. Check out Titan's videos on YouTube. All phenomenal stuff. Always great to watch. Titan, thank you so much for your time today. Been a fantastic inaugural episode. Couldn't have been better. Awesome. Hey, Jim, thank you very much. Again, it's an honor, and good luck to you, man. Like, I'm excited to keep watching your shows, man. All right. Same to you, Titan. Thank you. All right. Take care. Yep. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Manufacturing Talks with Jim Vanoski. Watch for new episodes dropping on the first and third Tuesdays of every month.